I just have one more question, which is, I know that because you've done a class for us in the past, you've spoken a little bit to how folks can sustain a mindfulness practice over time. And I speak with a lot of patients who have thought about starting a mindfulness practice or a meditation practice, but they struggle to get it into their schedules, or they struggle to be consistent with it. They might be able to do it for a while, but not keep that dose steadily being received every day over time. Do you have any advice to offer folks who are in that place?
Well, I wish there was like a simple answer. I wish there's a simple answer. I wish it was easy. I wish it was easy, right? If it was easy, then everybody would do it. So I want to start by saying that we spend probably 80% of our cognitive attentional energy on our goals. Like, where do we want to get to, right? And about 20% of our energy on building habits. And really, we need to flip that to sort of increase the surface area for good things to happen, which is what we all want. We need to make that 80% habits and 20% goals. We need goals. We need goals to help us filter like what we do and don't want to do, right? But what we really want to put is time into building healthy habits, building positive habits. And the way we do that, yes, exactly. Yeah, on a daily basis, and at least a regular basis. And so the way we do that, I think, Ariana, is first by starting small. Like just pick something really small. In the case of, I'm sure you can come up with lots of ideas around exercise and nutrition. For meditation or mindfulness, I would say an active practice is as good as a stillness practice. So doing something without what's called a high cognitive load, so something you don't have to think about, like folding the laundry. Like I really want to be present for this 5 minute, I'm folding it anyway. Let me actually be really present while I'm folding it. You set a timer and say, okay, well, now I don't have to be present anymore. I can let my mind go anywhere. But for this next 2 minutes or 5 minutes, I'm going to actually, do this with as much attention, non-judgmentally as I can, or washing the dishes, or I don't know, even going for a walk. Like when you're out walking, I'm just going to really be in nature, as opposed to in my last meeting or in that last argument I had with somebody in my family.
Or trying to get the perfect picture or whatever it is. Yeah.
So
using daily life as a door to open into presence, which makes so much sense. If you're busy enough to find 10 or 20 minutes to sit down and meditate, why not make dishes a meditation practice?
Yeah. If we can draft off an existing behavior, and utilize that as a way to bring a practice. And this applies to really any kind of habit change. But for meditation, if we can apply like what we use with the firefighters is before they go home, when they drive home or when they get off the bus, and they can sit on a park bench or sit in their car up the street or in the driveway for 5 minutes. And let me just leave what happened at work, because some intense things may have happened at work before I go in, so that I'm more grounded, so that when I go in, so they're in that moment anyway, they're there. And so they're just pausing to take some time. So keep it simple, and then doing it now, like do it right away. Like most of you say, well, when are you going to start that? Right? Oh, January 1st, I'm going to start it then, or I'll start on Monday, or but just to do it right now. When you finish watching this little video, go wash your hands for a minute and actually try to bring full awareness to just the simple act of washing your hands, which is one we do with the medical students regularly. And then the third thing is pretty simple as well. Repeat it, because the brain is an organ of experience. The more we do something, the more neurological pathways, right, that get connected. So the neurons that wire together fire together, something called neuroplasticity. And so then what happens is the washing your hands is a reminder to be mindful. Do you see? So it begins by, I'm bringing mindfulness to wash my hands, but then washing hands becomes this trigger itself, this cue that actually helps us come back into the moment. So when we walk back into our beautiful child's bedroom to read a bedtime story, we're actually there, we're actually alive. And so that's what I would say, is that all this stress has really, I think, stolen, or in some ways taken so much of our lives, our capacity to flourish and to thrive. And so I don't want to minimize this stress and challenge by saying, oh, well, just be in the present moment and all your problems will go away. That's ridiculous. but can we reclaim, even for some moments each day, our own lives? Because this is the show, right? This isn't rehearsal. Like right now, talking to you, this is it, man. This is anyway.
This is
That's what I
life
got.
happening, and right now it's different and unprecedented for those of us who are alive in this moment. And that doesn't mean that there aren't these opportunities where we can re-anchor ourselves to what is happening in this moment. Right now, I'm sitting on my couch and I'm talking to you, and I'm not, in the office, or I'm not actually out in public needing to be masked. Like where the brain wants to go sometimes takes us away from being fully alive and fully noticing the precious moments of our family or of daily life. And that builds stress, that builds that cycle of what did you call it earlier when you were talking about the study that was done around people being happier when they're present taking out the trash can?
Yeah. 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 When you're, I mean, a wandering mind is an
Yeah.
unhappy mind,
Yeah.
even when you're doing something pleasant, like, going on a hike or something. So I think
Right.
if we begin to think of training the mind, which is what we're trying to do with the medical students and the firefighters and physicians and school teachers and students, if we can treat it like almost like brushing your teeth, right? That's
Mhm.
something that we just don't even really think about. We take that time for that sort of dental hygiene. We do the same kind of
Mental
thing.
hygiene.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to just one other thing that I want to mention or reflect because it was so, I think, important. When you described the firefighters leaving work and sitting on the bench and mentally letting what was hard or crazy or intense about their day go so they didn't carry it home. I think that the
Mhm.
weight of carrying that around all the time and not even realizing it, that's really heavy. And I think that's part of the pandemic fatigue for many of us is not having enough moments where we can set down the news and where we can just be
Right.
with our kid reading a book or just be doing the dishes. And
Yeah.
and no, we don't need to escape the reality of what's happening. But we can be mindful in the moment of to attend to what we're actually doing in that moment because maybe it's safe and fine and wonderful.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Beautifully said. Share one last quote from
Yeah, absolutely.
my hero, Mr. Rogers from PBS's Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Oh, absolutely. My hero too.
Yeah, right. So he would say, and I think this is really, one thing the pandemic I think has shown me, and I think many of us, is that while we had to be isolated, locked down, separated, it's really shown us our interconnectedness,
Mm,
our interdependence. And Mr. Rogers said that human connection is primary in all of living. When the gusty
mm.
winds blow and shake our lives, if we know that people care about us, we may bend with the wind, but we won't break.